Today, I want to take a minute and to ask you to step back, pause, and reflect on 5 powerful questions that are going to help you get clear on where you're at, what is weighing you down, and what you can do to feel a little better on your fertility journey. There is so much that is trying to pull your attention when you're trying to conceive: the appointments, the friends that don't get it, ticking off all of the things on your to-do list. But when was the last time that you actually found some space for yourself and asked what it is that you really need on this journey? Well, today I want to help you do exactly that. Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And I have a bit of a different episode planned for you today. And it's something that I think is going to help to maybe lift you out of a little bit of a funk. You know, if you've been feeling flat or tired or disconnected and you just want to help reframe where you're going on this journey, then this is the episode that you need to hear and hopefully will pull you out of that feeling a little bit. One thing that kept coming up for me over and over again when I was struggling through my own fertility journey, and I hear this from my students all the time, is this idea that we miss who we used to be. We miss just being this carefree person, this naive person who didn't have a worry in the world, didn't have this enormous mental and emotional load that the journey of trying to conceive brings with you. My journey became so all-consuming. You know, I think that you can relate to this. Your life is just measured in these 2-week intervals where everything is either good or bad. You have to avoid this, cut out that. And I feel like all of the things that used to make me happy in my life were things that I wasn't supposed to do. You know, I wasn't supposed to go out and have late nights and, you know, share a bottle of wine with my friends and eat all of the things that I was enjoying in life. You know, it becomes so restrictive and saps all of the joy pretty much out of your life. And when you think about it, it sounds ridiculous. It's like, well, why would you do that? Why would you go from this carefree existence to taking out everything that used to bring you joy? But we do it, don't we? We do it in a heartbeat, because when you think that cutting these things out or doing things in a certain way is going to help you get pregnant, you will do it without even questioning it. But I think that the problem becomes when things don't work. And the question then is, well, how long is a piece of string? How long do I have to eat the perfect diet and not let a single sip of wine pass my lips and, you know, stay up late and go on these carefree holidays because they might interfere with my treatment plans? And it's like, well, when will I ever get back to feeling like myself? How long does my life have to be on hold for? So what we're going to do today is I want to offer you 5 really powerful questions that are going to help you reconnect with yourself, with what brings you joy and your truth. And they're also going to help your next steps on this journey feel a little bit lighter and easier. And these are questions that have helped me so many times, not just on my fertility journey, but in other periods where things have been a little bit difficult or challenging, or if I've just felt a bit stuck or lost. They are a wonderful way to help you reframe where you're going. And they're not really necessarily about finding the answer or finding the correct or perfect answer. They're more about creating space. And that's where I think change really happens, when you have that space for honesty and reflection and just giving yourself a bit of grace and understanding that what you're going through is really, really hard. So I invite you to grab your journal for this episode. If you're driving or you're out for a walk, maybe save it and come back to it later when you've got a pen and paper. Then I highly recommend that you do that. And when you're in a comfortable place, take a full, big breath, and we are going to get started. So, coming into question number 1, I want you to ask yourself, how are you really doing? Like, really, how are you really doing? And not just these platitudes that we give people automatically. I'm fine. I'm all good. Yeah, I'm doing fine. I really want you to tune in and ask yourself, are you actually doing okay? I think that we very rarely stop to really scratch below the surface, firstly, because if we do, all those emotions are going to come flooding up. We don't always want that to happen. But I think that so many people dismiss the fertility journey and how hard it is. And because it is so misunderstood, a lot of people discount what you're going through, and they don't understand that the losses that you're going through are huge. So we very rarely take a moment to ask ourselves, are we doing okay? And it's nothing to be ashamed of if you're not. I truly believed that I was handling my fertility journey really, really well. I honestly thought I was, especially during IVF. I was like, I'm getting out of bed in the morning. I'm going to work. I'm being nice to people. I've got this. I'm going to my appointments. Everything's fine. But then something would happen, and it would be little. And this very, very flimsy shield that I had built around myself would come dramatically crashing down. I remember this one day during my last IVF cycle, and it was the end of February of 2020. So we were, already there was murmurings of what was happening around the world with COVID. And the supermarket that I used to go to, they had already put in a few protocols around safety and masks and all those things. And I remember driving home from work thinking, I've just got to pick up dinner before I get home. Just hold it together. Got one job to do. And I went to walk into the supermarket. The security guard stopped me and he said, I'm sorry, you need to wear a mask before coming in. And a normal reaction in that situation would have been like, oh, okay, sorry. I'll go and go back to my car and see if I can find one or whatever. In that moment, I lost my mind. I think I had what can only be described as an adult tantrum. I was crying. I was like, I just need to collect my chicken. I just need to do this. I just need to get home. And I remember this poor security guard who was just doing his job is just met with this crazy hormonal woman who is just letting all of the frustrations of all of the past days, weeks, however long, all come out at once. This poor guy. And I remember going back to my car and just sitting there for ages, just crying. It was just all coming out because I was putting on a mask. I really was. I was going through the motions, telling myself I was fine, but I was a mess. As much as I thought I was holding it together, it did not take very much for that facade to come crumbling down. So a few follow-up questions with this. Asking yourself, how are you really doing? What emotions are sitting just below the surface that perhaps you've been avoiding? I think that anger is one of those emotions that we, especially as women, are taught to push down or not to show or to pretend we don't have, basically. But anger is a very powerful emotion, and it often comes out in order to protect something else that is hidden underneath it. And for me, I think that was sadness. I would get very angry at this poor security guard telling me to put a mask on because I was so incredibly sad that things weren't going well, and I was probably never going to have that second baby that I really wanted. And I think when you can allow some of these emotions to be there a little more often, just give them some space because they're not going to go away. We can't pretend them away off into non-existence. They're going to keep coming up. So just be present. Really ask yourself, what emotions are there? What is simmering just below the surface? What else has been feeling really heavy or really hard for you lately? Whether it's little things or big things, this journey, like I said, it is a lot. Please give yourself some credit. Maybe there's something at work that's just been eating away at you, and it's just one thing on top of the next, and just that next thing that happens is going to tip you over the edge. So really address those little things that start to pile up. Address them, speak to someone if you can. Try to really get on top of them before they end up being hugely, hugely difficult. And, it is just not a small thing. When you are on this journey for years and years, and you're watching your friends take all your baby names and watching people make these flippant comments over and over again, and they really don't understand what you are going through. You really need to recognize that each of these little incidences that happen along the way, they are big losses. So I want you to take stock of those. Also ask yourself, what might you need to feel or release instead of holding it all together, and how might you do this? I saw a social media post this week. It was so funny. It was something like, it was, the caption, "You look happier." And then the girl said, "Thanks. I decided to," what are those rooms called where you put on protective equipment and you just smash everything with sledgehammers? Demolition rooms? Anyway, she's like, yeah, my last embryo transfer wasn't successful, but I smashed a whole bunch of things and now I feel better. It was so relatable. So things like that, whether it is like something that you physically need to do to release tension, going for a run, going to a boxing class, punching a pillow, screaming into the forest. What might you do to really release some of these bottled up emotions that are really getting pressed down? Because society tells us we need to keep pressing them down. So allow yourself some space and time with that, even if it's just venting to someone who gets it and who isn't going to give you advice or judge you. So just remind yourself, you don't have to be positive all the time. We talk about this a lot, and toxic positivity is something that we need to keep being aware of, and it's something I speak about a lot, but you cannot hear enough reminders about that. You do not have to be positive all the time, but you do need to be honest, and you do need to be honest with yourself. Really encourage these moments of gentle self-reflection. So maybe it's as simple as, before you go to bed, place a hand on your heart, place a hand on your belly, and just name what's there. I feel tired today. I feel scared. I feel hopeless. I feel angry. Just note what comes up, because that is how healing begins. It is through your truth, not about trying to be perfect or pretend these things aren't there. So question number 2, who have you been spending your time with lately? And I get it now. There are so many people that we can't avoid in life, and that's just how it is. We have colleagues, we have family members, and, whether we like it or not, it's a reality that we need to see certain people. But there's probably people you don't have to spend as much time with, or that you have choices around when and how you spend your time with them. So when you have downtime, I think that's more of where we want to go with this. When you've got the choice to spend your time actively with someone, who are you spending it with? Because energy is really contagious. And when you are navigating the fertility journey and you're struggling, you become extra sensitive to the energy of others around you. All of our energetic walls start to break down. And when emotions are so close and bubbling near the surface, it's very easy to be triggered by others. So just have a pause and think about for yourself, who have you really been spending the most amount of your time with lately? And do those people make you feel seen and supported? Or do you feel drained and misunderstood? Do you feel worse after spending time with these people? Is there someone that you need to spend a bit less time with right now? And that's okay as well. There are so many ways that we can do this. I have an episode that I released last month about navigating friendships when you are struggling on this journey, and that this is such a huge thing that comes up for all of us. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and play it after this one, because it gives you just a few strategies to help you navigate some of those more difficult relationships and friendships on this journey. And just know that putting up those boundaries is okay. You can't control how other people are going to react, but you can control how you feel and how you spend your time. Is there someone that you have been craving a connection with? Maybe it's a friend or a mentor or a loved one who lives far away, or just gets busy and caught up in the rhythm of life, and you haven't had enough time with that person. They're a really, really important one to address as well. And I want to point out that these don't always have to be people. Four-legged friends are also just as valuable, probably even more valuable than some people in a lot of times where we're feeling down. And pets are a hugely regulating resource that we can come back to as well. So I think that, when you go through all of the people that are in your life and you just know who those ones are that you can really trust and come back to. When I first started going through IVF, I was living overseas. So I didn't have a lot of close friends generally, let alone ones that had gone through IVF or who really understood what I was going through. But I did have one beautiful friend back in Australia who had been through the process, and God bless her, she was always there for me, calling her in tears and just wanting someone to listen. And I always felt better. And I know that's a lot for someone else to take on as well. So you've really got to choose your people wisely. But sometimes it feels so good to be seen and to be heard. So validating, even though they're not necessarily going to have all of the answers. That's not always what you need. So I want you to remind yourself that you are allowed to protect your peace. This is something we talk about so much, but you are allowed to choose who sits closest to you on this journey. Protecting your own heart and your own mental health is incredibly important. But there's one thing I also want to mention before we finish up with this question, because we forget that we actually need people around us to come into proper nervous system regulation. We are not designed to live in isolation. Humans are communal beings. It was a way that we evolved through community. It was a way for us to remain safe within our own little tribes as humans were evolving. So please know that you need human connection in order to feel fully safe and whole. So you can't go through weeks and weeks just pushing everyone away and making your poor partner your best friend and your therapist and all of the things all at once. You really do need to find your tribe. So please remember that as well. All right, question number 3. When was the last time you really felt joy? You actually felt happy and lost in the moment? This one is big. This one is really hard because when you're trying to conceive, everything starts to revolve around fertility and will this help me or will I get pregnant this month? What you eat, how you move, how you rest, how you spend your time. Joy becomes really conditional. I'm going to be happy when I finally get that positive pregnancy test. I'll finally relax when I get my 2 pink lines. I will do XYZ or any number of things that I've been putting off when I get pregnant. But that's not how it works because as we know, the universe responds to who we are now, not who we'll be when things go a certain way. And this gets tricky because it's like, well, what comes first? So I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you did something that made you truly happy, that really just brought you joy and contentment? And not because it was good for your fertility. Oh gosh, I was so guilty of this, I was the one that went to have a massage because I knew it was going to help me feel calm and that was going to help me get pregnant that month. Or, I was the one that would make all of the beautiful organic, nourishing meals not because it felt good for my body, but because they were going to help me get pregnant. And that's a real mindset shift that I want you to start becoming aware of. When was the last time you spent time on self-care because it felt amazing, not because it was a means to an end to support your fertility? And it's a huge mindset shift because I think, we get into this practice of, as I've spoken about so many times, I'll do this because it'll equal that. And that's how we've lived our lives. We work hard and it means that we get what we want. But one thing I found really, really helpful for me getting to that mindset shift was having a regular meditation practice. And I will be the first person to admit that I did meditation initially because I thought it was going to help me get pregnant, like everything else. But it was when I really got into it that I really noticed the difference in how I felt. And it became like cleaning my teeth. If I didn't clean my teeth, before I went to bed, you know that feeling that your teeth are a bit furry, just something feels a bit off. I got to the point with my meditation practice that if I didn't do it, I just didn't feel right. So I really looked forward to it. And it was that wonderful feeling of everything just feels a little easier because of this. Meditation, I find, is one of those things that a lot of us tend to avoid. And I know it really sucks to be alone with your thoughts, especially when they're not particularly comforting thoughts, when all of this, I'm never going to be a parent, it's never going to happen for me, I've left it too late. When all of this is circling around and around, we really avoid being alone with those thoughts because who wants to sit there listening to that? But that is why I think it's really important to find a version of something like that that works for you, something that really allows you to get quiet and tune in with your intuition. And one thing I offer throughout all of my programs is guided meditations because that's, I think, a little bit easier. It's more of like a gateway meditation. It's something where you get to listen to someone's voice and to really connect that with your body, and you don't have to just be alone in that quiet with your own thoughts. And if you want some reassurance as to how quickly meditation can really make an impact on your life, it only takes about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks of meditation to start seeing really clear changes in the brain. So on brain scans, you can see actual physical changes in such a short amount of time. The areas that are responsible for connectivity are much more active, and those areas where, like the amygdala that is responsible for hypervigilance and always looking out for the next, what's going to go wrong and signals of danger, they become a lot less active. And it's amazing. You can actually see this on a brain scan. So 6 to 8 weeks, that's something that you can commit to. And I think it's hugely, hugely beneficial. And if you are struggling to get started, don't forget I have a free fertility yoga guide, and that can help you really, really easily as well. So the link to that is in the show notes. And then lastly, I want you to ask yourself, what small moments of joy can you create today? I like to think of these like little moments of joy, like a life raft. They are just sort of keeping you afloat when things get tough. They're not the full rescue boat, but they're just sort of keeping you at bay until the rescue boat comes along. So just finding moments where I'm going to enjoy my favorite food for lunch today, or I'm going to cancel plans because I just don't have the energy to go out and talk to people tonight, and I'm going to put on tracksuit pants and watch my favorite reality TV shows. Whatever they are, these little moments of joys, they just help us to reconnect with who we are and what we need. They can be even smaller things like music, laughing at a funny podcast, getting out in the sunshine, or going for a walk, or cooking, or anything that is creative. Because being in these moments of joy, they don't mean that you're giving up on your dream. I always think that we have to be focused on the next thing, and we have to be vigilant all the time, that make sure that this isn't something that's going to affect our fertility. But when you come into these moments of joy and you just kind of get lost in it, that means that life is still happening now. You're remembering that life is still happening now. This time is going to pass anyway. And it makes me kind of sad to look back at my journey and think, gosh, I just wasted isn't the right word, but I spent so many months being miserable. And I didn't get along great with my husband at the time. And I think I had a choice through those months where I could have made things easier and lighter. But it was hard, and I just decided to stay in that feeling. So I really want to invite you and encourage you to choose some moments of shifting into some joy. All right, question number 4. What could you do today to lighten the load of this journey? And I feel like it follows you around, doesn't it? Like a dark cloud, this journey of trying to conceive. It's like it gets into the cracks of every area of our life. And it's so hard to escape. It's just there. And it's there when you wake up. It's there throughout everything and every interaction you have. And it's still there when you go to sleep. So instead of trying to escape it, and instead of trying to push yourself into feeling something in particular or feeling more hopeful or positive, are there other areas of your life where you could look to start lightening the load? So things, like I was saying before, that are starting to pile up, we want to try and nip those in the bud so that it doesn't add to this really dark cloud. So is there something that you've been putting off? Is it a conversation or an appointment or a boundary that you need to put in place that could actually bring you a little bit of relief if you had that conversation or you took just that small step to help resolve some of these things? What are you carrying that is just feeling too heavy? So, as I mentioned earlier, other people's reactions to boundaries that you might put in place on this journey, you can't control them. So if someone's upset that you've said to them, I need some time and space and I'm really sorry, but that means I won't be able to spend this time with you, and they're upset about it, you can't control that. So take that off your plate. I know it's hard, but you really do need to prioritize what you need first. These are things that you can't control. What would it look like to just soften into other areas or simplify things or ask for help? And we get into this notion that because we're so good at fixing things, as women, we work hard and we achieve all of those things we've been dreaming about. We think that, well, we can't fix this journey, something that is so innate and feminine, we can't do this one thing that our bodies are designed to do, that it's shameful and that we shouldn't ask for help. We shouldn't speak to a therapist or go and work with that coach or that naturopath or whatever it might be, or just reach out and confide in someone. But asking for help is a wonderful way to lighten the load. And even if it's other areas of your life, I know that, no, we don't have endless funds available, but can you get someone to clean your house? Just make that easier for you. Can you get a few meals a week delivered so you don't have to spend hours prepping and cooking and cleaning up? Little things like that, just to help simplify and automate your life. One of my most favorite things is when I do like an order of shampoos and conditioners from the online pharmacy, there's that box you can tick that says, would you like us to automatically send this to you every 3 or 4 months? I'm like, yes, please take that off my list. That's something I no longer need to do. Stuff like that. Find little areas in your life that can make things feel easier for you. I often find that we overestimate what we have to do and that we think we can get a lot more done than we actually have time for. I am so guilty of that. And we underestimate how powerful rest can be. Again, I'm super guilty of this as well. I think, well, I'm going to fit in 50,000 things today and I'm not going to rest because why would I? I've got stuff to do. But slowing down to speed up is one of the things that is incredibly powerful. So just want to encourage you, one simple action from this question. So lightening the load doesn't mean that you're giving up. It's choosing to put yourself first. And that is the energy that the universe responds to. So what simple thing can you do today to lighten the load or to make your life feel a little bit easier? So question number 5, our last question here. This is a big one. If you knew that everything was working out exactly as it's meant to, what would you do differently today? The waiting is so hard. It really is. But this question allows you to choose peace in these moments of uncertainty. Like I said, this time is going to pass anyway. And you get to choose how your life looks and whether you're going to do things that are going to make you feel good in the meantime as you're waiting for your baby. When everything feels really, really uncertain, I think this is a question that's going to really bring you back to your core and what is important, what you value in life. And I get a lot of pushback when I talk about this in particularly, because people always say, well, I have zero indication that this will ever work out for me. So why would I put time and effort into being positive? I don't, that's just pretending things are all going to work out. No one can tell me and give me a crystal ball and tell me that everything's going to be okay. And I get that because I felt that too. I had no idea that things were going to work out the way that they were. And I think that everyone who has ever struggled to get what they wanted in life had a period of time where they thought that it was never going to happen until it did. I never thought anything that I achieved on my fertility journey would happen, but it did. And until I finally saw those 2 pink lines, or maybe until I finally held my babies, really, I never in a million years thought that it would be possible for me, but it was. So why shouldn't it be for you? So I want you to ask yourself, what do you want to remember about this time as you were trying to conceive? Beyond these test results and these timelines and these diagnoses, you want to be able to look back and know that you enjoyed your time with your partner or anyone who's important to you in your life. You probably want to look back and know that you really put yourself first and that you were putting your needs first. You were able to advocate for what you really wanted and really needed on this journey. You might be able to look at this time and reframe it as, what qualities have you discovered that you have within this journey? I think that this is something that a lot of people that I work with say to me, that they never knew how strong or resilient they were. They never knew how much compassion or empathy that they were capable of for others who they'd met along this journey as well. And maybe you didn't even realize that you were capable of the depths of these emotions. And I think that serves you well beyond these years of trying to conceive honestly. It will set you up for the way you approach the rest of your life. I think that's incredibly valuable. I want you to think about what you might be proud of, even if you don't have the outcome yet that you want. What have you been able to achieve or recognize that you've been capable of? Because you are more than your fertility journey, and you are so deeply deserving of joy in the meantime. You can't hear that enough. I'm just going to invite you to take a really deep breath, because this is a lot. And just sort of sit with whatever has surfaced, whatever has come up, because these 5 questions, they're not your invitation to give you more to do, to go off and add more things to your to-do list. They are here to help you bring yourself back home to yourself, and just revisit these whenever you are feeling lost or disconnected or you're unsure of your next step, because you don't have to have all the answers right now. Maybe you just need to feel peace in the moment, and then maybe that next step becomes clearer when you do. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just pause and ask a better question, because the things that we don't know that we don't know are hard to uncover. So things like this are valuable to help you see what will come up. And I know that this journey can just feel like this never-ending spiral of the unknown. So it's one thing to kind of pose these questions and to think, all right, well, this is another way of looking at it, but we really need to ask ourselves as well, what are we going to do with this information? So next week on the podcast, I am going to go through with you 5 ways of recognizing progress on this journey, even when you can't see it. So tune in to next week's episode, because I think that's going to be incredibly helpful as well. Don't forget, if you have a question for the podcast, I haven't mentioned this in a while, but you can leave me a voice note. I have a link down in the show notes where you can just click on it and record it on your phone. It can be completely anonymous. I listen to all of your voice notes or your emails, your DMs. If you have anything that you want to share about the podcast or something that you would like to see in a future episode, I would love to hear from you. So thank you for being here. I can't wait to have you back with me next week for that new episode. But until then, I am sending you all my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility.